In this tutorial, we're going to animate an object using a motion path, and we'll have a quick look at easing and learn how to switch between multiple cameras in the same blend file. So open an object in Blender to animate. I'm going to use the monkey head for this one, but you can use any object you like. First, we're going to hide the object, so make sure that it's selected by right-clicking on it, and then press H on the keyboard to hide it. Or you could click on the eye icon in the outliner window beside the object. Next, press Shift A and add a curve path. Go into edit mode by pressing Tab. You might need to switch the view of the curve to see it better. Right-click on the points of the curve in vertex select mode, one by one, and move them into the desired position to make the path follow the shape that you want. Move them by pressing G and grabbing them into position. I'm going to make a simple S-curve shape here so that my monkey head can slide down a roller coaster. Press Tab to go back to object mode. Press Alt-H to unhide the monkey head and then select it by right-clicking on it. Open the Object Constraints tab and choose Add Constraint, follow Path. Click on the target box and choose the path that we created. If you're working with multiple paths, it's a good idea to name them so that you can easily find them later when you need to. The monkey head will snap to the first point on the path. You might need to adjust the forward option X, Y, or Z to -X, -Y, or -Z depending on which view you're looking at. Right-click on the path to select it. Change the length of the animation, the end frame, to 125 frames. Open the Object Data tab and find the frames and evaluation time values. Make sure that the frames value in the Object Data tab is set to 125 as well, so that the monkey head will follow the path for the entire duration of the animation. Make sure the playhead is on frame 1 of the timeline. Right-click on the evaluation time value and choose Insert Keyframe. It will turn yellow, or you could just press I while hovering the mouse over the box to insert a keyframe. Drag the playhead to frame 125, the end of the animation. Notice that the evaluation time value box has turned green. This means that there's no keyframe here on this particular frame. Type in 60 into the evaluation time box. This means that by the time the animation reaches this frame in the timeline, it will have played 60 frames out of the 125 frames in the follow path animation that we set. In this way, you can control the speed of your motion path animation, and you can also make the object only travel part of the way along the path if you want to, so you can see the monkey head hasn't traveled all the way to the end of the path. In our case, we want it to go the whole way, so type in 125 into evaluation time, and then right-click on it and choose Insert Frame, and it should turn yellow to let you know that it's locked in the changes, or you can just press I while hovering over it. Go back to the start and press play to see your motion path animation in action. Blender has now tweened the animation based on the start and the end keyframe values that we gave it. Blender's default settings include ease in and ease out, as most movement in real life includes some degree of easing. In practice, this means that between keyframes, an object will accelerate as it starts to move and will slow down as it gets ready to stop for added realism. To change these settings, you need to use the graph editor. So change the 3D viewport into a graph editor. Notice that the curve between the two keyframes is visible to us now. Choose View and then View All to see the entire curve between the two keyframes. We could change the easing manually by right-clicking on one of the keyframes and then dragging the handles to straighten the line between the two keyframes, but it can be quite tricky to get this perfect. So another way to do it is automatically. Click on the key menu and choose interpolation mode and select linear. The curve will change into a straight line, which means that ease in and ease out have now been removed. Switch back to 3D view and press play to see the difference. The object no longer speeds up or slows down when starting off and coming to a stop. Instead, it moves at the same speed throughout the animation from beginning to end. Most of the time, you will want to use easing in your animations, but sometimes it's not necessary, and this is how you can turn it off. Finally, we'll have a quick look at how to switch between cameras in your animation. So switch to top view by pressing 7 and duplicate the camera twice by pressing Shift D with it selected so that we have 3 cameras in different positions. Whichever camera has the triangle filled black, the triangle on top of the camera, is the current active camera. That is, it's the one that we see when we press 0. In the Scene tab, you can change which camera is the active one. Alternatively, select the camera and then press Ctrl 0, and that camera will become the active one. Whichever camera is active at a particular time is what will be rendered in the final animation. Go back to frame 1 in the timeline and press M to insert a marker. Go to frame 40 and press M again, and do the same in frame 80 to add 2 more markers, one for each camera. In frame 1, right-click on the camera that you want to use first, and in the timeline, right-click on the marker to select it. Click on the View drop-down menu and choose Bind Camera to Marker, or you can just press Ctrl B for keyboard shortcut. Select the second marker in the timeline, choose a different camera, and press Ctrl B. Repeat for the third marker, switch cameras, and bind the last camera to its marker. Press 0 and press play to see the camera switching as the animation progresses. So this has been a short tutorial on animating objects on a motion path, adjusting easing, ease in and ease out, and switching cameras.